This is the second theory session of the problem-solving test course. In this session, I will explain the key difference between the premise question group and other question groups. We will also look at an algorithm to solve premise questions and also at some examples to test this algorithm in practice.
Recall from the previous session that there are four major question types: premise, fact, conclusion, and the last 13%. Today we are talking about the first type, premise. Premise questions have two subtypes: root cause reason, a statement supporting, explaining, or providing a certain fact, and supporting analysis information, which is an analysis or a piece of information supporting, explaining, or proving a certain fact. The solution algorithm for both subtypes is the same. A premise does not have to be true or based on the data in the text or exhibits. It might be a completely new piece of information. However, if we assume its truth, it allows us to make certain conclusions about a fact stated in the text. In comparison, a fact is true based on the data. You just need to interpret it, and the conclusion has to follow from the data. Let's have a look at the following simple example. Take the fact that all my smartphones last 12 months only. We need to find a proper explanation for this fact. And here we've got four options. What do we need to prove here? The fact that the lifespan of my smartphones is exactly 12 months, so T equals 12. The first option explains why my smartphones live longer than 11 months. Let's write that down. The second option explains why the lifespan is not more than 12 months. The third one just suggests that the lifespan should be small, but nothing specific. And the fourth option, if true, would explain why the lifespan is exactly 12 months. The option might sound strange and unrealistic, but we're not looking for realistic options here. We're looking for options which, if true, would best explain the fact. If we take this leap of faith, the option is a perfect match. The algorithm we will use for solving questions of this type has three steps: restate the fact, restate the options, and apply selection criteria to picking the best fit. At the first step, we should ask ourselves, what do we need to prove, support, or explain? We need to establish a link between hypothetical statements and the data at hand. This link very much depends on the question fact, and a good understanding of it is essential for success. The trick is that often the question fact is not stated explicitly. The question might say, the trends in exhibit X. Until we can state explicitly what these trends are, we do not understand them. We have to go back to the exhibit or text and figure out these trends. After skimming the data, we should roughly understand where to look for the information. Once we figured out that, for example, the trend is that one region is growing at 10% per annum while others remain flat, we are good to go. Just make sure we've noticed whether the question is a positive or a negative one. Circle the appropriate word several times and always check that what we are looking for is indeed what is being asked. At the second step, we need to get a similarly good understanding for the answer options. We need to read the options carefully, restate their meaning in simple words, and try to figure out what makes the options different. Notice that we need to read all the options rather than stop on the first seemingly reasonable one. We are looking for the best option, not for a good enough option. Finding the best is only possible upon consideration of all options. At the third step, formulate what makes the options different and pick the best one. Looking at this slide, you might wonder if I took it by mistake from some kindergarten course. The question is a straightforward one, and the answer is C, right? But think for a moment, why is it C? Probably because pictures A, B, and D show furniture, while C shows a cat. Or because C is a living creature, while A, B, and D are not. Or because C is not made of wood, while A, B, and D are. All these statements are different selection criteria. The technique of finding them is applicable to PST. The most popular selection criteria in PST are subject predicate, parts of a statement, parts of a formula, and value chain or funnel. Let's take a look at each of them. 1. Subject predicate. Selim is the best performer in his company. Which of the following, if true, would best explain this fact? The subject is Selim. The predicate is that he is the best performer. Let's draw a simple 2x4 table with subject and predicate as headers. If an option supports the right subject, we put a tick in the first column. If an option supports the right predicate, we'll put a tick in the second column too. A. The subject is right, but the predicate is not, so put a tick and a cross. B. The subject is wrong, it is Sasha, not Selim. Yet, if we knew that there were only two people in the company, Sasha and Selim, option B would be a good explanation. C. The subject is right and the predicate fits the question fact, so a tick and a tick. D is not very helpful at all. The information is useless and somewhat contradictory to the question fact. So which option is best here? It is C, definitely. 2. Parts of a statement. Selim is the best performer in his company while Sasha is the worst. Which of the following, if true, would best explain this fact? Notice that the fact now consists of two parts. Part 1, Selim is the best performer, and part 2, Sasha is the worst performer. Draw a 2x4 table. If an option supports the first part of the statement, we put a tick in the first column. If an option supports the second part of the statement, we put a tick in the second column. Let's look at options now. A supports neither the first nor the second part of the statement, so 2 crosses. B supports the second part, but not the first part. C supports the first part, but not the second, unless, again, there are just 2 people in the company. D supports both parts of the statement. So obviously the answer option is D. 3. Parts of a formula. The distance traveled by a car has increased. Which of the following, if true, would best explain this fact? The fact is that the distance has increased. Let's use a formula to find a possible root cause reason. Recall that distance equals speed times time. So an increase in one multiplier not offset by a decrease in another one will lead to a higher product. Draw a 3x4 table to track which way each variable is changing. Look at A. Speed is growing, time is decreasing. The resulting impact is not clear because the magnitudes of the change are unknown. B. Speed is decreasing as well as time. The result is a decrease in the distance traveled. C. Speed is growing as well as time. The result is an increase in the distance traveled. D. Speed is decreasing, time is increasing. The resulting impact again is not clear. So obviously the answer option here is C. And finally 4. Value chain or funnel. A chain or a funnel represents a process which leads to a result through a series of steps. If something impacts just one step of the process, it impacts the result. If it does not impact any step, it does not impact the result. For example, total cost of ownership equals price of equipment plus maintenance plus energy consumption. Which of the following, if done alone, will least likely help reduce the total cost of ownership? Notice that this is a least likely question, so we will look for the worst rather than the best option. Let's write down the funnel in a shorter form. To make an impact on the TCO, we need to make an impact on price, maintenance, or energy consumption, or on a combination of them. Let's write them down as headers of our usual table. A impacts price, but not maintenance or energy consumption, so it's just one tick. B does not impact price or energy consumption, plus it might lead to an increase rather than decrease in maintenance costs, so it's 3 crosses. C impacts maintenance, but not price or energy consumption. 1 tick. D impacts energy consumption, but not price or maintenance. 1 tick again. Among the 4 options, C will least likely help reduce the total cost of ownership, so it is our answer. Let's practice what we've learned today. At this point, you might want to pause the video and try to solve the question yourself. Which of the statements, if true, would best support the marketing manager's assertion? Step number 1, restate the fact. We need to figure out what the marketing manager was saying, what the assertion was. The marketing manager of Kosher Franks expresses concern about the impact of this price reduction campaign and consumer perception of the brand. He states, okay, so here comes the assertion, that a price reduction of 5% is pretty significant and may in itself be detrimental to the premium brand image, which drives a lot of sales. Okay, so this assertion basically has 3 parts. Part number 1, price reduction of 5% is significant. Number 2, price reduction may be detrimental to the premium brand image. And number 3, premium brand image drives a lot of sales. Now let's look at the options. In a recent survey, Kosher Franks consumers quoted price as the second most important indicator of quality in a list of 10 factors. So A basically means price matters. B, in a recent survey, Kosher Franks consumers quoted price as the 8th most important factor out of 10 in their decision to buy a product. So B means price is not that important. C, in a recent survey, 78% of Kosher Franks consumers said they would still buy Kosher Franks hot dogs even with a 10% price increase. So C actually means 10% price increase is okay for 78%. D, in a recent survey, 34% of Kosher Franks customers said they would never consider buying another brand of hot dog. So D means loyal customers. 34% of loyal customers, so about 1/3. So what differentiates these options is what they state about the marketing manager's assertion. And guess the selection criteria we can use are parts of statement. 1, 2, and 3. 1, price reduction of 5% is significant. 2, price reduction may be detrimental to the premium brand image. And 3, premium brand image drives a lot of sales. A says that price matters. Price matters is probably 2. We don't know if a 5% price reduction is a lot or not, so it's not stated here. We don't know if the premium brand image drives a lot of sales, so I cross here. B, price is not that important. This is actually a contradiction to what marketing manager is saying in his second part of the assertion. So I write contradiction and I put a cross in 1 and 3. C, 78% will tolerate price increase of 10%. This does not really tell us much because we don't know if they would tolerate a price reduction of 5% rather than a price increase. D, 1/3 of customers is loyal. But we don't know why they are loyal. Is it because of the premium brand image? No, is it because of the quality? Or is it because of some other factor? So 2 is definitely a cross, and we don't know anything about 1 or 3. So in this situation, only A provides some useful support for the marketing manager's assertion. Let us synthesize what we have learned today. A premise does not have to be true and might not be mentioned in the text. But if we assume that it is true, it supports, proves, or explains the question fact. There are 3 steps in solving a premise question. 1. Restate the question fact in your own words. 2. Restate the options and read them all. 3. Use selection criteria. Figure out what differentiates the options. Criteria include subject predicate, parts of statement, parts of a formula, and value chain funnel, among others. That's all for today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time.